Hiya, hello, and welcome to the One Piece chapter review for manga chapter 1107 titled I've Been Looking for You. We're coming off a 1 week break after the last chapter, which was things were heating up. Dory and Broggy showed up at the end, showing that they have come to help the Straw Hats escape. So we are definitely rushing headfirst towards Climax Egghead. We still need to see some more details that will sort of substantiate and finally fully form the idea of this big global world-shaking incident that occurs at Egghead. We already have many pieces in play. We have the Saturn of the Five Elders there. We have Admiral Kizaru. We have a Buster Call in action. Now we have the giant pirates showing up after they're supposedly after the world government considered them gone, dead, and not a concern anymore. So that reveals that the giant pirates still exist to the world government. And still we have Blackbeard up to something concerning Egghead. So there's a lot that could go down. Without further ado, let's hop into the chapter. Okay, we've got the cover page, cover art, cover requests by Arinko. Beppo feels awkward after seeing Law napping with a snow leopard. So we've got Law, he's in his winter gear with a coat. He's sleeping on a snow leopard. Beppo is looking on awkwardly. He's got a club with the Heart Pirates logo on it. And a kettle of hot tea. And he's got a funnel going into the snow leopard's mouth. And it looks like he's about to pour the hot, maybe it's water, just hot water. It's about to pour whatever it is into the funnel, into the snow leopard's mouth. So it looks like Beppo is kind of jealous there. Okay. So we've got first panels, the giant pirates. Giants cause big problems. Oimo Kashi. Take the others and swing around the sides. Sink any ships you see. Watch out for those cannons. So we've got Oda boxes, Brogy, co-captain of the giant warrior pirates, Brogy the Red Ogre, Dory, co-captain of the giant warrior pirates, Dory the Blue Ogre. So it is interesting that those are their official epithets, Brogy the Red Ogre and Dory the Blue Ogre, and they are co-captains, so both of them are captains of the crew. Roger that, Captain. Ooh, ba 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 ba. Giant warrior pirates, Kashi. Alright, you bastards, let's go. Giant warrior pirates, Oimo. So Oimo and Kashi have reunited with Dory and Brogy. And it wasn't just Dory and Brogy alone. It's the entire giant warrior pirates crew intact. So wow, that is a huge incident. Countless members of their old crew have also been spotted. What do they want? The fabled giant warrior pirates are here. Where have they been all these years? We've got confirmed sightings of both Brogy the Red Ogre and Dory the Blue Ogre. Giant warrior pirates crew. Giant pirate crew. Giant warrior pirates. Oof, we've got them smashing into marine ships, slicing them in half, clean in half with, is that an axe or a club? Might be an axe. Got them leaping off of their boat. The giant warrior pirates have made landfall. Blast them to smithereens. We've got Nami and Usopp looking over them. Usopp's got binoculars and he's looking down. Oh, Chopper's there too. Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. They're looking down. Usopp with the binoculars. He sees Dory and Brogy. My masters! But what are they doing here? Master Brogy, Master Dory. I can see Oimo and Kashi too. I bet they went to Little Garden to pick up their leaders. Oimo, Kashi. That's gotta be it. Man, I was worried. I thought we might not see them in Elbaf. But Usopp is overjoyed to see them. And now we've got a little refresher page, or panel. A refresher on the giant warrior pirates. Long ago, the world was terrorized by this formidable group, led by co-captains Dory and Brogy. Their crew would disband after they got into a certain quarrel. Luffy and the gang helped them out with their century-long when their century-long duel came to an end. Later on, while storming a different island, they would encounter and befriend Oimo and Kashi, a pair of giants who set out to check on their captains. Okay, now back to the story. We've got Edison. Looks like they're really giving it to those Marines. I can't believe y'all know each other. They must have come a-running after hearing the news. Huh? How's that possible? The Navy marshaled a ton of manpower for this operation. It's no wonder it made the papers. But I reckon the headlines must be painting them in a good light. So this is big news already, huh? I guess that makes sense. Now, Usopp, they didn't come here to wage war. They came to help us get out of here. We gotta hurry and finish our prep. Ring, ring. Ah, gotcha. Nami-san, it's Brook. Brook, where are you? Close. And we've got the Mary still sliding on that ice. Very close, but we won't be able to stop for tea. And we've got Brook sipping a cup of tea. And then Lilith slaps them in the back of the head. We need to stop. If we fly off the edge, we'll be fried by the barrier. Hello, this is Lilith. This numbskull really is brainless. We can't afford to dilly-dally, so pay attention. Sounds like they're getting fired up. We need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. There's Jinbei on the move. This isn't the time to be picking fights, Zoro. Okay, and now we have Zoro and Lucci fighting. Pant, you're pretty tough, but I'm in a hurry. It's time to wrap this up, Pant. Huff, huff. Only the winner gets to talk like that, Roronoa. Your crew's waiting for you, right? You're just a burden at this point. Those fools will never make it if they can't cut off the arm to save the body. Giving up now would be doing them a favor. Waiting for a corpse is pointless after all. It almost sounds like you think you're the one in control of this fight, Rob Lucci. They're both pretty scuffed up from their fight. Uh-oh, we've got a laser, looks like a laser beam. Damage report. What? Roughly 30 of our small to medium-sized ships have been sunk with no signs of it stopping. Okay, so it looks like that's the pacifistas firing at their Navy ships. Now we've got that Navy captain, or was it vice captain, with the multiple chins. Pull back all smaller vessels and lead with the battleships. We can't afford to leave an opening. Yes, sir. Bang, bang, bang. Vice Admiral Red King. This is a pitiful sight. To think we Marines have to fire on our own weapons. We see the Marines ship, lead battleship, opening fire on a pacifista, hitting it. Looks like they're knocking one down at least. Oh, is it totally deactivating? It's bleeding. It looks like this particular pacifista might have been at least knocked out. So I guess with enough firepower, the Marine cannons, their lead battleships, can do damage to the pacifistas if they have enough of them. Okay, we're back to where Saturn and Luffy are. Hey, Bonnie. What's with the waterworks? Why wouldn't I be crying, you idiot? I've been looking for you for so long. I've been here the whole time. But I sure didn't know you were Nika. But I didn't know you were Nika. Nika? What's that? Oh yeah, that's Oh yeah, what's the deal with that flimsy punch you tried to throw earlier? I was going for a big rubbery attack like you. If it's so swimly, why don't you show me how it's done? Give that old windbag Vegapunk. Give that old windbag a good one for Vegapunk. Then we can get out of here. What the heck, Vegapunk? Now Saturn speaking. None of you filthy cockroaches have a right to live now. Then Luffy smiles. You're wrong. Alright, Bonnie, that sounds like a plan. Booming Dawn Gatling. Ooh, nice. So he does the Booming Dawn Gatling, makes contact with Saturn. He's bleeding, so it's doing damage to him. Huge Gatling attack. Looks like he's been knocked down too. Saturn is falling over, bleeding. Bonnie's looking on, crying. And shot of Vegapunk and Kuma. It's a really big hit. It looks like it actually sent Saturn flying and crashing into a building. Gonna have to use those legs if you want to get out of here, Bonnie. It's Frankie talking to Bonnie. And now Atlas, the hover function should still work while we're on the island. Let's go, Vegapunk. Go on without me, Bonnie. I've been a doctor for long enough to know that if I move now, I'll die. Let me read that again. Go on without me, Bonnie. I've been a doctor for long enough to know that if I move now, I'll die. What? Uh-oh, there's Kizaru. He's preparing a laser. He'll be dead either way. This is it. And he's about to fire the laser. He fires it. Sanji jumps in and blocks the laser with a kick. So this is something that a lot of fans have been waiting a very long time for, to see Sanji actually confront Kizaru. Since a lot of fans believe that Sanji will ultimately have to fight Kizaru. Not entirely on that train myself, but it is very interesting to think about. And it looks like we're at least seeing a clash between them because Sanji's here. Kizaru is absolutely shocked. This is the first really shocked face we've seen, I think, we've seen Kizaru make. So this looks like setting up a pretty big moment. Frankie is shocked too. What the? How? That was a freaking laser. Then Sanji, light doesn't hold a candle to love. And Kizaru seems to have regained its composure. If that's true, they'll have to scrap the physics books and start from scratch. Let's go to the northeast port. Now they're all running. Well, I'm in a real pickle now, says Kizaru. They'll expect me to at least bring back your heads after all this. And Luffy's laughing. And Sanji's lighting a cigarette. You better start drafting an apology letter for them then. Crumble step. So Saturn is getting up from the rumble, and now we see a footstep. It's a woman's foot, and my first guess immediately from the style of the shoe is that's Katarina Devon. Yeah, that has, which everyone was expecting, that Katarina Devon was on the island disguised as perhaps one of the Straw Hats or maybe someone else. So that has been a running theory for a long time in this arc, and judging from that foot, that is definitely Katarina Devon. So Katarina Devon is walking up to Saturn as he is getting up out of the rubble, so she's finally revealing herself. We're finally going to see what the Blackbeard pirates have been up to on Egghead, what their goal is, hopefully. So we've got Saturn speaking. Or no, this isn't Saturn speaking, this is someone else. The person that walked into the panel. Well, it's not every day you see one of the 5 elders down in the dirt. And now Saturn is looking curiously with a question mark. And yep, that's Katarina Devon's face. My, look at you. Just what kind of delicious power do you have? Katarina Devon is here to hunt devil fruits. I'm thinking, because she's asking about what kind of power he has. So she's assuming that the Elder's powers are from devil fruits. Does this confirm that the Elder's powers are from devil fruits, or is Katarina Devon just guessing that those powers must be from a devil fruit? We know that Blackbeard himself, and probably by an extension his crew, at least he's probably taught them a lot about devil fruits, because Blackbeard researched devil fruits a lot. To think an elder would come down to the surface and bless us with his presence, it's unheard of. But it sure made our job a hell of a lot easier. Tap. Mission complete. But it sure made our job a hell of a lot easier. And it looks like she touched one of Saturn's legs. It said mission complete. She touched his leg. Now Katarina Devon has the was it the fox fruit? Was it a mythical fruit? Mythical zone? Fox fruit? Or Model Kisune, I believe. So yeah, that has to be mythical. Fox fruit Model Kisune. It allows her to transform herself into others. Is it similar to the clone fruit where she has to touch the person? Which means that her model of the Fox fruit is the more advanced version of Bon Clay's clone fruit? That would track. And she has to touch the person just like Bon Clay does. If that's, I'm assuming that's what's happening here. Because if her powers work like Bon Clay's, and she just touched Saturn, then now she has the ability to disguise herself as one of the elders, which is an absolute huge boost to the Blackbeard pirates, power-wise, because they can confuse the Navy by pretending to be an elder and cause all kinds of havoc, if that's the case here. Because she touched him and said mission complete. So her mission was either confirming that Saturn was there, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. Killing Saturn might be a big goal for the Blackbeards, possibly, but do they have the power to do that at this stage without their captain? And then the only other possibility is that they're there to steal devil fruits, which I don't think Katarina can steal devil fruits just by touching people. So I think the mission is probably to have Katarina Devon touch Saturn. But let's continue reading. Saturn takes notice that he's been touched. Or maybe he doesn't notice, but he looks at Katarina, he's questioning, what business do you have here? And Van Auger is in the background. He's standing right just behind her. So Van Auger made it here to Egghead after the Blackbeard crew had their fight with Law. This is actually really good timing because Van Auger just had his appearance in the anime where they adapted the little cover story of the Blackbeard pirates kidnapping Pudding. So this is kind of a little Van Auger period. So we've got the boxes, Blackbeard Pirates, 6th Captain Ship, Katarina Devon, Dog Fruit, Model Ninetail Fox. Oh, yeah, right. It's the Dog Fruit, not Fox. I think Kinemon has the Fox fruit. Okay, we've got Blackbeard Pirates, third ship captain, Van Alger, with the Warp fruit. And Katarina Devon says, Teach is special. Well, that's an odd thing to just say to the world, to one of the Elder Stars. And she's laughing, heh heh. Then Saturn speaks, Katarina Devon, I'm surprised a level 6 escapee like you would choose the life of a subordinate. Oh, I misread that. I was reading in the wrong order. So, Saturn says, Katarina Devon, I'm surprised a level 6 escapee like you would choose the life of a subordinate. And she laughs, heh heh. Teach is special, as is his lineage. Says Saturn. Ah, so you know about that, says Devon. Your crew is always up to something. What do you hope to get out of these stunts? The world, says Van Alger, and he's casually sitting on some rubble. So, we get a lot here. Saturn confirms that, well, reconfirms, because we've already known that they are concerned with the D-Clan, and Edward Teach is in the D-Clan. He could be referring to just being in the D-Clan in general, not his direct ancestry, or he could be talking about that, but I think he's just talking about the D-Clan in general. Ah, so you know about that, says Devon. Your crew always shows up. Your crew is always up to something. What do you hope to get out of these stunts? The world. So that line from Van Alger sort of confirms that the Blackbeard Pirates are concerned with taking over the world, perhaps? The world. Something, either the world itself, in a literal sense, taking over the world, or a power that is equal to the world. And we've got the close-up of Van Alger's face, close-up of Saturn looking on, then pop. Saturn tries to stop them, and Van Alger used the Warp fruit to teleport away. Saturn is looking around for them. And okay. Saturn is looking around for them and they're gone. They've teleported very far away out of Saturn's view. And Van Alger says, let's be off then. We're still on the island. Couldn't you have warped us any farther? Says Katarina Devon. I haven't mastered it yet, says Van Alger. So this confirms the fruit is relatively new to Van Alger. He hasn't mastered his teleportation fruit yet. Interesting. So we can assume that the Blackbeard Pirates have gotten their fruits relatively recently. Their fruits are relatively new. They haven't fully mastered them yet. The ones... Okay. So that would also include Suryu. He hasn't fully mastered his invisibility fruit yet, which makes sense. Okay, so haven't mastered it yet. Is that... I'm going to assume that's the same for all the Blackbeard Pirates that have recently acquired devil fruits. They haven't mastered their powers fully yet. You've got Caribou in the background. Wait! Hold on a second, please! Supersonic Van Alger, Maiden Hunter Katarina Devon. I never thought we'd meet in a place like this. I'm a pirate like you. My name's Caribou. I've been looking for you guys for ever. Ah, sorry. I meant to say forever. I set sail because I wanted to be a great man just like him. He's my idol, my hero. I've always dreamed of being a lackey on Commodore Teach's crew. It's all I've ever wished for. Please take me to meet him. And that's the end of the chapter. Cover and color spread. Next issue. So this confirms what people were thinking. That Blackbeard was the person Caribou was interested in telling this information to, so the Blackbeard's going to take Caribou to meet Teach. Caribou's going to tell him, Teach, everything that he's learned so far, which is quite a bit. Interesting. So the Blackbeard pirates are about to get a whole lot of information and become a whole lot more dangerous. The fact that they left, that Katarina said mission complete after touching Saturn, all but confirms, they haven't said that right, but all but confirms her powers work like Bon Clay's. She's touched Saturn, so she now can transform into Saturn, which means she can command the world government because it will easily be confused by a clone Saturn, a clone of a world noble. It kind of also lines up with what Mount Augur said about the world. Because now that they can successfully imitate one of the world leaders, they do have the world at their command, or a part of it now. So I wonder, did they just need to touch a single elder, any one of the elders, or is their goal ultimately to have all 5 elders? That is an interesting question to consider. You'd think they'd only need one. Only need one to basically command the world. But they do have to worry about counter commands from the actual world leaders, the actual elders. They wouldn't have total control of the world until an event where all of the elders ended up dead or gone without the world knowing, and then Katarina could imitate the elders and give orders and control the world. Is that the plan here? It's possible that's the plan. But Blackbeard made massive gains on Egghead. So they weren't actually here to fight. And they weren't here to fight. They weren't here for Vegapunk, which makes sense because the Blackbeard pirates are kind of like sneaky. They haven't gone in for a fight really ever during the series. They only go in for fights that they know 100% they can win, or fights that they 100% can't avoid. Those are the only 2 fights the Blackbeard pirates seem to take. Fights that they know they overwhelmingly win, the odds are in their favor, and fights that they just can't avoid. So their mission on Egghead, I'm thinking the simplest answer is, with all the information we have from this chapter, that Katarina touching Saturn was the goal here, because her fruit works like Bon Clay's fruit. Or at least the cloning ability of her fruit. I should put it that way, because it is a mythical fruit. I believe it's a mythical fruit, mythical zone. So it probably might have other powers, but the way the cloning power functions is the same as Bon Clay's clone fruit. Also, we've got confirmation the Blackbeards aren't off the island yet. Ideally, Katarina would want to be teleported off the island. So they're going to have at least a little bit of a walk to take Caribou to their ship and get away from the island. So Caribou is finally coming into play. We have the interesting kind of revelation about his character, that he wants to be part of the Blackbeard Pirates. Which, I guess it sort of tracks for Caribou. Yeah, because when in their introduction of the Caribou Pirates, they were trying to ally themselves with Straw Hat Luffy because they figured Luffy was a strong, powerful, sort of evil pirate. And that might have been a stepping stone to get towards meeting Blackbeard as his ultimate goal. So that does kind of line up. It's possibly could be lying, but I don't think he's lying in this situation. He has no real reason to lie to Blackbeard, especially when his goal is to give this information to Blackbeard. He could just say, I have information for Blackbeard, and that would be that would create enough interest for the Blackbeard Pirates to be willing to take him to meet their captain. But that is interesting. Is this a case of him being like Bartolomeo, just a huge fanboy of Blackbeard? It's possible. But if it is the case, he's kept his reverence for Blackbeard very close to his chest. But yeah, this is... The Blackbeard revelations are kind of big. Kind of really big. It also kind of adds to that pile of why this is a global incident, world-shaking event. Egghead. It also confirms that the Blackbeards will not be sort of a distraction, part of the distraction that ultimately allows the Straw Hats to escape the island. The Blackbeards got in, accomplished their mission, and now they're getting out with the added bonus of Caribou and all the information that he will bring to the Blackbeard Pirates, making their crew even more dangerous. Also, will this mean that the Blackbeards will set their sights on Fishman Island? To get Shirahoshi. Huh. It's an ancient weapon. Ooh, that is interesting. If the Blackbeard Pirates go to Fishman Island, kidnap Shirahoshi, and or take over the island, Luffy would have to return to the island. If he found out, he would probably have to return to the island. In which case, the prophecy of Luffy destroying the Fishman Island might come true. But if that's the case, that kind of shoots down the other theory about how Fishman Island gets destroyed, the one that most people that theorize about One Piece seem to think is the most likely. because Straw Hat Luffy returns to Fishman Island and is destroyed anytime before end of series, that's probably it shoots down the theory about people had about Fishman Island being destroyed. So we've got also Sanji. We've got this is a definite feat for Sanji, repelling Kizaru's lasers with a kick. Which it's a speed feat because he was fast enough to jump in front of the laser. It's also a power feat because he just repelled the laser with a kick and took 0 damage from it. And Kizaru was shocked by it. Frankie was shocked by it too. They're the two characters most familiar with lasers. So also, I should look at the fights, how they're shaping up. We've got Sanji versus Kizaru. Luffy's probably gonna fight Saturn still, because Saturn has now gotten up. And the Blackbeard pirates are gone, so Saturn will obviously return his focus to Nika and returning to that fight. We've got Zoro versus Lucci so far. They've been at what seems like a stalemate so far. Jinbei is on his way too, so that fight will probably end soon. Perhaps Jinbei will be there to witness the end of the fight, how it ends, or Jinbei will be involved. So if Luffy can defeat Saturn here, then they probably get off the island pretty easily. Saturn is kind of the biggest threat here. Because they can relatively easily avoid Kizaru. And a Buster Call is almost a non-factor at this point. But wait a minute, let's see what's going on here. One theory is that Katarina Devon was disguised as Robin, and that Robin had actually been taken and kidnapped. So, during these chapters, where a lot of Straw Hats are shown, it's always good to do a Straw Hat crew member count. So we've seen Usopp, Nami, and Chopper at the start of the chapter. We've seen Brook. We've seen Jinbei. We've seen Zoro. Even though, wait a minute, we saw Robin last chapter and she was with them. So yeah, this shoots down the theory that Katarina Devon was Robin. But it is interesting we don't see Robin in this chapter, but Robin is injured. Kind of there, but laying back to recover. We also have the sort of confirmation that the damage that Vegapunk took from Saturn's attack is fatal or near fatal. He can't move because if he moves, he'll die. So they would have to defeat Saturn and Kizaru. Have Chopper come there to treat Vegapunk if it's at all possible to treat him. And then get off the island. Kind of seems like that's not possible, so maybe Vegapunk is dying here, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. If Vegapunk dies here, how does that affect things? Well, the world government gets what they wanted, at least partially. They've killed Vegapunk. That would be a win for the world government. It kind of dooms the technological state of the world here, the entire world, because no more scientific advancements from Vegapunk. But Punk Records still exists, so actually, there could still be world advancements coming from Punk Records, as well as the clone York. If they get York. And if they get the lab. If the lab ends up being destroyed, entirely destroyed by the Buster Klava Island, Punk Records, all of it gets destroyed, then we can say no more scientific advancements from the Vegapunk, unless world government gets possession of Vegapunk clones, the Stellars, the satellites. So I guess there's space for Vegapunk to die here on the island. I'm still not believing he's gonna die here unless I see it. But it does mean they can't move right now. If they're gonna try and get Vegapunk off the island, save his life and get him off the island, that means him being so injured that he can't move means they have to stay, do they? So, after Luffy does the attack on Saturn and Sanji blocks the attack from Kizaru, we do get a shot of them running. Well, flying away using the boots. Frankie is flying using the hover boots. Bonnie is hanging onto his back. Atlas is flying and she has Kuma on her back. And I don't see Vegapunk here. So maybe they are actually leaving Vegapunk behind. Huh. Well, maybe. Or they're heading to port to regroup with everyone and possibly come back to get Vegapunk. Because since he's there and he can't move, but Luffy and Sanji are there so they can protect him. Yeah. Okay. So there's actually quite a bit that comes out of this. There's going to be a lot of theorizing now about what Blackbeard's goals are. Stealing the form of one of the elders. At least that's what I'm going with. It could be something that we haven't seen before. A sort of power we haven't seen before, maybe. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, it would make sense, but it's a little bit more unconventional a theory. It's kind of out there. Also, yeah, I think that it's probably 90%, I want to say, likely that, yeah, Katarina's mission on the island was to touch Saturn because her fruit works like clone fruit. I should go back and look at the chapter where Katarina first showed off her dogged off fruit, and whether she confirmed back then that she had to touch someone like Bon Clay. She might have confirmed it back then and I forgot, but I don't recall that being confirmed. I think this is our first semi-confirmation because it hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but it really seems likely here. Then we've got to talk about Teach's lineage, the D clan. Ah, so you know about that. See, that's the part that trips me up. Because it wasn't... Teach's lineage in the D clan isn't hidden. That's not something that the world government or the elders wouldn't know about. So it has to be something more specific than just generally being of the D clan. Some people have suspected that perhaps Blackbeard is related to Xebec. Direct lineage. Maybe he is Xebec's son or something along those lines. That would make sense because Blackbeard is basically picking up where Xebec left off. They say that Xebec wanted to rule the world. Well, Blackbeard wants to rule the world, so he would be carrying out Xebec's dream, taking over the world. There's the fact that Blackbeard seems to admire Xebec a lot. He seems to be modeling a lot of his decisions and the way he does things off of Xebec. His sword is named the Saber of Xebec, his ship is named the Saber of Xebec. That would also create continue the parallels between Luffy and Blackbeard as enemies. Also, with Luffy carrying on the will of Roger and Blackbeard carrying on the will of Xebec, there are parallels between Luffy and Roger, and then parallels between Blackbeard and Xebec. So that all lines up and all makes sense. And I think that this line from Katarina Devon, when Seven mentions Blackbeard's lineage, she's like, ah, so you know about that. That means it's something that isn't known generally to the public. Like his name, which is generally known to the public, is Marshall D. Teach. Everyone knows that he's a D. And people that know about the D clan know that there's a meaning to the D clan in general. So this is something specific in his lineage. More narrow. Direct line. So my thinking is that Blackbeard is related to Xebec. It would be something that nobody would know up to this point, because not a whole lot of people know about Xebec since his reign was so long ago, and the world government likes to hide things. They hid a lot relating to really big figures like Xebec, Roger, Whitebeard. They would hide a lot of information related to those guys, so it makes sense that not a lot of people would know about Xebec. But see, if the world government knew that Xebec had a son, would they not want to hunt him down the same way they hunted down Roger's son? Or would that not matter because Xebec never found the One Piece? So, as dangerous as he was, the world government didn't consider him as dangerous as Roger because Roger found the One Piece and the true history of the world. And that's what made them go after Roger's son, while they knew about. But then, let's see, the God Valley incident was 39 years ago. Blackbeard is like 43, I think, 40 something. So he would have been alive at that time. Wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So it's possible Blackbeard had a son before the God Valley incident. It's also possible, I'm trying to think of what other option there could be besides him being Zebek's son. Let's see. That seems like the most logical option because anything else kind of it will add another character, at least one more character to the story. Because if it's like he's Zebek's nephew, then that would mean Zebek would have to have a sibling. Who is Zebek's sibling? What are they doing? What relevance do they have to the story aside from being Blackbeard's parents? So that kind of throws a whole lot in there, unless the sibling died really early on. I guess that's possible. The sibling died, but still they'd have to tell that story. Hmm. And it could just be that it's like with Roger and Luffy, and Blackbeard just has that will. But, but if Blackbeard just has that will, then that means he's not related to Zebek outside of just being part of the D clan. He's not related direct lineage to Zebek. There is another thing. Take Zebek out of the picture. What other lineage could Blackbeard have that would be hidden and something that the world government would know about? Could, but then, I don't know. Could Blackbeard be related to celestial dragons? Could that be his lineage? It's possible, but I don't think that's the case. We just parallel Shanks too much. But it is possible. It's something that the elders would be aware of. It's something that the general world would not be aware of. Something about his lineage. But he's also a member of the D clan. And have we had any celestial dragons that are actually members of the D clan? I believe the answer to that is no. Pretty sure. At least so far, no D clan members have been revealed to be part of the celestial dragons. So probably not the case that he's related to a celestial dragon. Another option, let's see. There's Buccaneers, but Blackbeard doesn't seem to have Buccaneer blood. He's not. I mean, he's big, but he's not Buccaneer big. At least, yeah, from my understanding, he's not Buccaneer size, and his physical strength is not on par with the Buccaneer. So that kind of rules them out. There's Lunarians. There's no way Blackbeard's a Lunarian. Lineage. Blackbeard. Lineage. Celestial Dragon, no. Buccaneer, no. Lunarian, no. Could be another heretofore unknown race, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Still, Zebek is seeming like the strongest candidate here. It would kind of also explain why part of why Shanks went to the world government, went directly to the elders to tell them about Blackbeard and the danger he represents. Maybe it was Shanks. That's a thought. Maybe it was Shanks. Maybe the world government, maybe the elders didn't know about Blackbeard's lineage. Maybe it was Shanks that learned Blackbeard's lineage, went to the world government, went to the elders, warned them about Blackbeard, told them about Blackbeard's lineage, and that's how they knew, which means it's relatively new information to them. They wouldn't have known it before, which would explain why there was no hunt, why there was no hunt for any offspring of Xebec. Maybe that's possible. There's a lot of venues here that we could go over in relation to Blackbeard and what this line about his lineage actually means, what it pertains to, what it means for him. There's also that whole question mark about Blackbeard's body and his body structure being different, and if that could be related to his lineage. If that is the case, then his lineage would have to be something special. Something maybe we haven't seen up to this point in the story yet. So I guess that does leave room for a question mark, maybe a new race, maybe new people that we haven't seen in the story yet. Even though that would have to leave the door open for a possibility of other people with a similar unusual body structure to Blackbeard. Maybe they existed in the past and they're all wiped out. Maybe it's one of those situations, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm thinking right now my money is on the relation to Xebec being the most likely candidate. But yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap up this chapter review. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment and subscribe. And I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.